Hey YouTube, Dawson Ryder here. Welcome back to The Crazy Train. We have even more crazy news about the current situation with Sentai. If you didn't know, recently Maya Imamori, the actress that played Gozyu Unicorn, was fired for underage drinking. At least that was the public reason. And there's a little more to talk about with that in this video. But the main headline here is Scranton Paper Company apologizes to valued client. Some companies still know how business is done. I'm just kidding. The main headline is we have a recast. We did not know what they were going to do. I mean, we know they were doing reshoots, they were chopping up episodes, but we didn't know, like, are they going to recast? Are we going to have her sister become the character? Are they just going to pretend she wasn't there the whole time? Which, I'm going to be honest, as awful as the situation is, I would have found hilarious. But we have a recast, and it is none other than a familiar face, Kohaku Shida, who played Oni Sister in Avataro Sentai Donbrothers. Now, I didn't see this particular news coming in terms of it being a familiar face. Like, now that I'm thinking about it, that we have a recast, and this recast in particular, it makes sense, because I think that, for me, I was thinking they're going to make the sister the character. Like, part of me honestly thought they might try to just edit around it and just ignore it and just have her in suit and see if the kids don't notice. I mean, they probably wouldn't have done that, but just because of the way they've gone about this and gone about it so fast, part of me thought that was going to be a thing. But I was thinking maybe they'll just pivot to the sister, because this is a series, as mentioned, where it's not weird to have different characters take up the mantle. In fact, technically it's part of the DNA of the show to have these rings pass around. The sister's such a part of the storyline. I'm like, naturally this would be a way to pivot it. Pivot! But then thinking about it, this makes a lot more sense. Given that we're down to the wire, they're obviously on a time crunch, it's probably easier to do this because you don't have to rewrite so many scenes, because they're probably currently filming scenes, reshoots, and they're going to be filming new scenes with her. I'm going to imagine there's going to be some weird scenes that are a splice of footage they've already done and like solo coverage of Oni Sister, but that's probably much easier to do because you don't have to rewrite entire scenes. Like, if they had the sister become the character, you'd have to rewrite the storyline and change things around, but with this, you can sort of shape around what you've already done. And then also having somebody familiar kind of makes sense, because maybe they're hoping to endear the audience that might know who she is. And also probably it was easier to call in somebody like for a favor. I'm going to imagine maybe hey, we're in a tight spot, you've worked with us before, rather than holding like an open casting call. And apparently she's going to make her first appearance in episode 40, which, I don't know, for me just is such an insane turnaround. Like, we had episode 37 be chopped up to all hell, and then 38, well, the original version of 38 is now removed, and presumably what was episode 39 has become 38, which will probably be chopped up. That's about to air basically within the next 24 hours, I believe, of this being posted. And then episode 40 will be probably a chop up of what was original 40 and then this. I don't know whether they will reshoot aspects of original 38 with Oni Sister and put that out, or just kind of forget about that, or maybe they'll seed in small elements of it. But man, what a roller coaster this has been. Again, the turnaround just is crazy to me, because I feel like if this was TV here in the US, they would probably pull it from air for a few weeks while they figured out what to do. But the fact that we seemingly won't miss a beat and didn't even take it off air for 1 week is crazy to me. And especially with this familiar face, what makes it funnier to me is the way Gojujur is, in terms of as a series, where at the beginning of the series opened up with one of the biggest surprises for me in Sentai of all time in a way, which was having Taya show up and then all of a sudden transform into a King Ojur rather than Boon Red, which was just crazy because I wasn't expecting it. I know it was an anniversary series, but the way it went down was, like I said, super unexpected. I wasn't sure where they were going with it, and at the time was super exciting because I was thinking, oh man, this is such a cool story idea. Maybe we're going to see past Sentai actors in this series and they don't remember who they are, and they'll be wearing different suits, and then maybe they'll come back later and get their memories, kind of like a Geo-ish situation. And I thought that was so cool. And then they really did nothing with it. And there has been now other Sentai actors in there, like Blue Buster. Is it Blue Buster? Is it Red? They do by color with that. Regardless, Blue Buster, his actor, played Ray. And so that's not unheard of also to have past Sentai actors come in and play new characters. The one that always comes to mind for me is Maggiello, then playing Beat Buster later on. So that's not unheard of to have Sentai actors play a different role compared to, other franchises where they might have more of a connected universe and you don't want to have a recast or something like that. played by a familiar actor. So that's not unheard of. It's just uniquely funny in this particular series because they opened up with this device that I thought was going to be important for the anniversary, and then it didn't matter at all. And then now you have a main ranger from a previous series playing another new main ranger. And it feels quasi-recent too, which is kind of crazy. Like, I always wonder like how many kids will notice. Like, obviously the older fans will notice probably whether or not you're following the news. And it's not like it was, you know, a random character that was a B character that hung out at the cafe. It was a main ranger character from a series that I guess is a little while ago now, but still it's quasi-recent. It's not like this was somebody from Go Onjo or something. This is like a few series ago, which is nuts. I'll be so curious to see how these episodes feel. Like, I get a feeling 39 might feel similar to 37, maybe a little less weird because they had more time to look on it. Well, 38 now. But I'm just curious, like, all these episodes with her, how much you'll be able to tell, how it will feel going into the end. And yeah, just what a crazy situation. And like, even before this came out, there was more info or rumors that came out about the situation with Maya Imamori. There was one rumor I saw that like supposedly with this affair scandal stuff, there was going to be a situation where she was going to like apologize to some people, and then she didn't show, and people were upset about that. There was another rumor she didn't even drink alcohol, but she was serving as a waitress at this club that served alcohol. And even though you can like be a waitress at a place that serves alcohol at 18 or whatever, you can't like touch it or look at it or whatever. I don't know, some nonsense. And like, that's why. And it just seems nuts to me. And like, there's been such a conversation about like the difference in culture and like, you know, not commenting on it because you don't understand it. I think the thing that cracks me up the most is the people that are like, she deserved it, she broke the law. I'm like almost crying like over here, like, are you serious, guys? This is hilarious. Are you from Pleasantville? Like, this is like 4 months away from, and just, I don't know. And I guess seeing, you know, some of the other info too about how it's perceived in Japan, I guess a lot of it doesn't even have to do with necessarily the alcohol. Like, kind of like over here, it's kind of known that younger kids, you know, that are like in their late teens about to be drinking age will drink. It's more about like the public perception and backlash you'll get. Actually, I saw one thing that said it's a lot about that it's more about breaching your contract that like they would take seriously, like, because they're super serious about work over there, that it's about breaching your contract, which, and again, like drinking a beer seems like a bit of an extreme reaction. This whole thing seems like an extreme reaction, but apparently a lot of it just has to do with the backlash you'll face. And it seems like the agency seems to be the most to blame. I'm not saying Toei's blameless, but I feel like Toei probably, if they were like solely in charge of dealing with the fallout, they probably would have come up with something cleaner or maybe a cover-up. I don't know, just because they have to do so much scrambling now. I can't imagine this is the situation they would want for such a small thing, but it seems like it's more the agency doing this because they were worried about the fallout, and everyone worried about the fallout because of like Sentai's reputation being so precious, almost like it's like Barney and stuff, and you don't want to have the kids influenced by bad things. And like, if they had the characters, you know, throwing shots back and being like, shots, 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 like, sure, but how are kids going to know about the actor doing this, especially if you don't draw attention to it? It just seems nuts. But just reading into some of this stuff, it seems like it's basically like if it got out, you would face backlash from the parents, backlash from like the sponsors and stuff, which could lead to a domino effect. But it just seems like an absolutely insane situation. And just the way that this is also unfolded around the time about rumors of Sentai's last season is crazy. And the fact that if this is Sentai's last season, it has such a messy production here. And then again, I was expecting some sort of news about maybe a recast or the sister taking over, but I did not expect it to be a familiar face like this. So yeah, what do you guys think? Are you excited about this news to see a familiar face back? Let me know in the comments as always, and I will keep you updated on the evolving situation. You know, next, I know there might be more about this happening, but I'm really curious to see over the next month or so if we get news about Universe Warriors or whatever, just because, you know, usually I always make fun of people being like, oh my god, the trademark wasn't filed, so it's canceled. But it feels like by now we usually have the trademark, so I'm really curious how that, you know, rumor will shake out. But anyways, guys, until next time.